Being the customer of someone and having a relationship as a customer with a vendor is a very emotional experience. You know, it's nothing worse than bad customer service that will send me to another planet of anger if I'm receiving bad service. And I am sure you are the same way.
You an entrepreneur, I got what you need.
Hey there, my loves. Welcome back to CPTV and my channel, the place for aspiring and growing entrepreneurs who want to turn their passions into businesses and their businesses into a lifestyle of freedom and luxury. If that sounds like you, then you want to be here because every Tuesday I am giving you the tips, the tools, the actionable step-by-step strategies and blueprints to take your passions and grow them into 6- and 7-figure empires. I am CP. Welcome. And today I got a question for you, and it's a really good one. So I want to know, do you know the real secret to becoming a 7-figure empire as a business? Do you? Well, yeah, of course it includes making a lot of sales, but the real secret is your ability to actually maintain your existing sales as well. Yeah, because customer retention plus customer acquisition equals growth when it comes to your business. Did you know that? You cannot have one without the other. If you only focus on new customer acquisition, you'll constantly be trudging water because you'll be losing customers on the back end. So the real secret to growing into a 7-figure empire is maintaining and nurturing your existing customers as well as going out there and finding the new ones. And in today's episode of CPTV, I am going to share with you the 5 things that you must have in your customer service strategy in order to get and keep the customers so you can reach 7-figure status. So let's get to work. So I'm getting ready to dive into step number 1, but before I do, I have to tell you, I need you to subscribe. If you like this, I definitely want you to pound that like button. It don't cost you nothing. It don't hurt you, but it definitely helps CPTV, and definitely share this with other entrepreneurs because I have so much information up here that I am so looking forward to sharing with you guys, and you are going to get it every single Tuesday. So please subscribe, become a part of the CPTV family, and thank you so much in advance for watching. So let's dive in to the first thing you must include in your overall customer service strategy in order to keep your customers. First, you have to think of your customer service and that whole thing as a customer journey and an experience. You've got to create one. So when I mean a customer experience, I mean just that. Your customer experience and your customer's journey with your company is almost like a story. It's almost like a plot of a great movie or a great TV show that kind of keeps going throughout your relationship. It starts when they first identify you, whether it's out there online, on social media, whatever that is that draws them into the story. And then each time they go through a different phase in your relationship, the story continues to grow. So think about it starting when you actually attract them to click on that opt-in and they come into your email list. And then the next phase is when they're in that nurturing phase and you're giving them valuable content and you're keeping in contact with them and you're keeping it consistent and they're constantly able to take what you're giving them and see results from it. Then it becomes a whole different part of your story when they actually make that purchase. Once they make that purchase with you, it shifts, but the journey still continues. And how easy that purchase was, what they experience in your onboarding process, what they're actually able to get out of the product or service, how well your service takes them throughout that journey, how much support you offer them, all the way to the back end when they're done using your product and service, and how well you keep them engaged and what else you offer that's going to be able to provide them with some relief is the entire customer experience and journey. You have to think about your customer service strategy as a journey. And you have to make sure that you are on point in every phase throughout that story, because you want to create a story that is a good one and creates good memories for your customer. That's when you get that social proof, that those testimonials and those word of mouth referrals that are absolutely priceless. So step number one and tip number one is create your customer service strategy as a journey for your customer and begin to think of it as an overall customer experience and not just one specific customer tip or customer situation that occurs. It's an entire journey, so make it a good one. The number two thing that you must include as a part of your customer service strategy is offering various ways for your customers to access support and service. We have all been there, right? Where you are working with a product or a service and you try to reach out to somebody, and the only way that you can get in touch with somebody is through one email address. So you know you're going to send an email, and automatically in your mind, you're like, it's going to take days for me to get anything done because nobody's even live talking to me. If email is your only customer support offering, you are going to decrease the likelihood that your customer is going to have a good experience. So offer various ways to provide them with support. I would include things like live chat. Even if it's only during certain hours of the day, give them the ability to log right in and talk to someone instantly to instantly experience that service that they need. Also, a phone number. I know nowadays a lot of companies are getting away from actually having phone numbers and phone calls available. But you can look at giving people a phone number in the event that there's a certain time of day or in the event that they have a certain program or a package. So you can actually use it if they have a higher level product or a higher level service and say, with this package comes direct service and phone support that you can actually get. A lot of companies are doing that. So give them additional options. Also, definitely give them a ticketing system where they can actually submit an email and get back a response showing that they have a number. They can track those things. But overall, whatever you can do to give them additional access to support. I love a project or a program, especially if it's a high ticket item, that actually gives me a dedicated account rep or a dedicated account manager. Some of my products and services do that as well. And if someone's a really high ticket client, they actually have direct access to me. So you might also give them that aspect of support and say, hey, if you get this package or you are in our legendary program or whatever it is, you're actually going to be able to contact me, or you're actually going to have access to our Facebook group where I will be in there and able to answer questions, and you'll have access to our team. So just making sure that you give people different ideas of support and don't limit them. The more support options you can give, the greater your customer experience, and the more likely you're going to keep the customers that you have, so that when you add, you're actually going in the right direction in your business, and that's up. The third thing that you really need to include in your overall customer service strategy is the ability and the goal for you to nurture use of the product or service. A lot of times we tend to cut off what happens after the sale. I've actually had conversations with people that say, oh, it didn't matter as long as they sale. I don't really care if they use it or not. And that's not true. You ultimately created that product or that service because you wanted that customer to experience a result of some kind. But if they're not actually using it, they're not going to get the result. And that means they're not going to become a raving fan. They're not going to tell anybody else about it. You're not going to be able to get any testimonials, and they ultimately didn't experience the results. And that's not why you put so much blood, sweat, and tears into creating that product or service, is it? No. So after someone makes that purchase, I encourage all of my students and all of my coachees to make sure that they have some type of nurturing strategy or sequence in place that encourages new buyers to use the product or service, whether it's giving them tips and tools on how to use it, reminders of accessing it, continuing to develop and to deliver valuable content that encourages them to go ahead and access that product or service. And it's really important because immediately after the sale is that period where buyer's remorse will emerge the most significantly, and where the highest rate of refund requests and cancellations will take place. If you do a good job at creating that nurture post-sale, then you're going to eliminate the likelihood that you're going to have a bunch of refund requests, or you're going to have a bunch of people not actually utilizing your product or service. And that means that they're going to stick with you and stay with you for the long haul. So make sure that you include some type of service strategy that encourages people to use the product or service, teaches them how to use it so they can get the greatest value and have that amazing customer experience that will not only keep them, but encourage them to buy from you again. The fourth thing that you want to make sure that you do is to stay in touch. When I've had all of my companies, one thing that we've always included in our service strategy is a monthly communication plan. And that is literally a service request form that will automatically get emailed to all of our clients saying, hey, we're just checking in to see if you need anything. We also make it really easy for them to check a couple of boxes or tick a couple of survey questions and say, I'm good to go. These are the items that I need help with. And then they can just hit submit. And our team then takes responsibility for beginning to implement that service request and respond to them. That's really important because a lot of times, think about even yourself. You've got a list, right? And on that list, it might say, I got to call, I got to check on this, I got to call, I got to call. And if I automatically get that email reminder saying, hey, it's CP, I'm just checking in, seeing if you need anything, that item on my list becomes immediately take careable, if that's even a word, or that might be a CP-ism that I just created, but it's immediately take careable. And that means I've reminded my client that they have a service need from me and I'm taking it off of their plate and saying, I'm just sending you a reminder. All you got to do is check a couple boxes, send it back to my team, and we will be all over it. And that's a whole different level of customer experience. So stay in touch and don't forget what I've already said. Continue to deliver valuable content on a consistent, ideally weekly basis to your customer. Your existing customers need to receive all the content that you're delivering to prospects, but they also need some special content that's very relevant to your current product or service. That's going to help you in that nurture piece as well. So stay in touch. Don't be a one, bam, bye, thank you, ma'am, or whatever that whole saying is. Don't do that, all right? Stay in touch with your customers, continue to thank them, and their experience will be a golden one. And the number 5 thing that you must do and that you must include in your customer service strategy, and this is a biggie, and you guys know how I am, it's consistent service processes that keep the experiences consistent for your customer. I'm going to stop preaching one day, y'all. But we have to bow our heads because if we don't take the time as entrepreneurs to document what we do and document it well, we will always be reinventing the wheel. And every time we start from scratch, our customers experience something brand new. And don't nobody want that.
Can I get a amen?
I want to know that every single time I come to your hotel, I'm going to get the exact same treatment. We all experience it, right? I happen to be a Marriott and Hilton girl. And if you've ever stayed at a DoubleTree hotel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm talking about them cookies. You know, DoubleTree has a basic part of their check-in process to, at the end of checking a customer in, to offer them some DoubleTree cookies. Now, one day, y'all, I walked into my DoubleTree. It wasn't like member discount or nothing. It was a couple $100 a night. And I'm at the front desk. Now, this ain't my first rodeo with DoubleTree, y'all. And I'm sitting at the front desk and we go through the entire checkout process. And the entire time I'm thinking, can't wait to get this cookie. Here comes my cookie. Y'all, he about to give me this cookie. And he hands me my room key and that little piece of paper for me to sign off and put my license plate number on. And he tells me where the elevator is. And he says, have a good night, Miss Perez. And I'm like, you too. And I continue to stand there. And he looks down at his little computer and looks back up at me and says, do you need something? And I thought to myself, this is a breakdown in communication. This is a process that you were not taught. This requires some CP coaching. So I said to him, yes, I need my cookie. And he's like, oh, you're right. I'm sorry. We just got a fresh batch in. So this man was not only not about to give me my cookie, but he was about to hold on to my fresh batch warm DoubleTree cookie. That's what I mean. That process of their service strategy lets me know that every single time that I go to a DoubleTree, I'm supposed to get a cookie. And that is a consistent experience that I want as a customer. That takes me through my customer journey. And honestly, that can be a big part of the reason why I might choose a DoubleTree over a Marriott hotel, right? So keeping your service processes documented, training your team on them, and making sure that they are followed step by step every single time keeps the experience for your customer consistent. And that is so important to creating an ideal customer journey. So you've got to create the processes, you've got to document them, you've got to be trained on them, train your team on them, and do them consistently every single time so that your customers are not experiencing something brand new and there's no wiggle room for mistakes in there from your team. That is a huge piece of the pie. Don't create new customer service things every single time you get a new customer. It's going to be very, very difficult for your customers to have a consistent experience and feel good about being your customer. So if you keep the processes documented and you actually implement them, you don't have to worry about nobody standing there looking at you like, where's my warm cookie? Okay? You don't want that. We want them to be happy because we want to keep them for the long term in order to build this 7-figure empire. The processes are also really important because it makes them transferable. And oftentimes when I'm working with entrepreneurs, especially those who've been in business for a while and they're trying to make it to that 7-figure mark, is the biggest piece of what's missing in their organization is their systems and their processes. And the reason why they can't grow is because they can't hire anybody. And the reason why they can't hire anybody and add anybody to their team is because they're the only ones who know how to do anything. They've documented none of the processes, so nothing is transferable and they cannot teach anybody else how to do it. Documenting the processes for service allows you to eventually add a service team. And when you've got a service team, you can go on vacation. You can actually leave your business for a short period of time and begin to enjoy your life. You can actually step away and know that somebody else is going to do the exact same thing that you've always done. So processes are important for that and to be able to monitor, to tweak, and to perfect over time. If you don't have a step-by-step process, you do not know where in the process things have fallen apart so that you can fix it, because every single time you're doing something different. So this 5th piece is so important for you to document them from the very beginning and then continue to keep track of what improvements you've made over time in order to make sure that your customers are loving working with you. So the bottom line here is being the customer of someone and having a relationship as a customer with a vendor is a very emotional experience. You know, is nothing worse than bad customer service that will send me to another planet of anger if I'm receiving bad service. And I am sure you are the same way. The sum total of a customer's experience and how they feel about your business is everything that I just talked to you about. What their journey has been, how they started with you, whether or not you're staying in touch, whether or not you're giving them easy access to support, whether or not their experiences are consistent, and whether or not you're continuing to provide them with resources and tools that help. If you take these 5 things and you make sure that your customer strategy includes at least half of them, if not all of them, you are going to be on the right path to keeping your customers in the long term and growing that business into the 7-figure empire that you've always dreamed of. So I hope you guys like this. Please like that button. It's not going to cost you anything. Share this, subscribe before you leave so I can see you next week. And until then, my loves, bye-bye.